Hey folks, just a quick demo on how to create a Google form and a response in 2022. I think my previous video on this topic may be slightly different because Google has changed their interface a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take you through the process. I'm not going to get too crazy with the form, but just what I'm going to do is find a good folder in our class. And I'm going to create this in a folder that I've saved and called it Demo Google Form and Responses. I'm going to come up to the top. I'm going to click on New. I'm going to click on Google Form and I'm going to click on a blank form. I'm going to give it a name eventually. So my form is going to be called Ain't That Cute? Okay, and then I can begin to add questions here, and there's various different sorts of questions that are on the right hand side that you can use that are listed here. So images can be inserted, videos can be inserted, you can create breaks within these that are different sections, okay? And then within each one of these sections, you can rename those however you want. That's kind of a super specific thing. The questions you can change this way. And I would like for you to do some exploration about these different options because they're ever changing. And I don't really care how you set up your quiz or your form, but I mostly want you to know how to do it. Okay, and you can add options here, okay, or add an other. You can do all sort of stuff, and I think most of you understand how to do that. So once you've got your form set up, you probably want to make sure it's got some name that you can remember it, and I want you to notice here at the top that I've got questions, responses, and settings. So the responses is really the one that I want you to key in on. There's a little green icon here that's the spreadsheet. So right now your responses are probably not going to be viewable to you outside of this form. So if you click on the green icon, it asks you, what do you want to do? Do you want to create a new spreadsheet? Do you want to select an existing spreadsheet? I'm going to just take the create a new spreadsheet and I'm going to build that. So now here's my spreadsheet. So you're probably wondering, oh my God, where did I put it? Because that's kind of a feature of Google Drive. Sometimes people have a hard time figuring out where those things wind up. Well, I remember where my form is located, so theoretically it should be here. And notice that it's not right now. I'm going to reload, but I can also tell that it looks like it's still building this file, so I'm going to give it a second. And now it looks like it's done. It's stopped. If I go back to Demo Google and I reload this page, hopefully it's going to show up beneath my form there. And now you can see that I've got a spreadsheet along with my Google form. So if you're looking for that responses file, if you do what I just did, it should show up there. And then if you notice, it gives a timestamp column, which means that's when the form was filled out. And that's my only question on my form at this point. So if I go back to questions, I can see there's my question there. Ain't that cute? Question 1, mostly want you to know how to. So mine's kind of a nonsensical form, but it also does have responses. And then the way that we distribute this is to choose the send button. So if I click the send button, it allows me to do this multiple different ways. So I can collect the folks' login information, So if they're CWC folks, you can get their CWC email address without them ever putting that in there. So then we can share this via email. We can copy the link for the form itself, or we can embed this within a web page, and that's what this means. So this iframe allows you to be able to build a website with this form kind of baked into it. So you can see the whole form in the web page, and this is a pretty slick way to go because they do all the coding for you, and they give you the width and the height of the box, and then you can change those depending upon how you're going to use that in your web page. For our purposes, it's probably easiest to just copy this URL. There's also a URL shortener that you can use as well. So you could copy that and then use that to distribute to others. So there's the email, right? So you can just add that in there. It'll do some of that work for you. You can add collaborators, which means you're sending it to those folks. Okay, so it's like emailing a link like this to them. All right, I think that's about it. So this is the 2022 version of Google Forms. Google is changing things all the time. Sometimes they're monumental, sometimes they're very, very subtle, and I think if you begin to use these tools over time, the changes that they make are going to be fairly obvious to you. So hopefully this helps explain some of what we're trying to help you see with the Google Forms and Responses file. There's one other option here that you can look at, which is the settings. I'm not going to go into that, but those are all different sorts of things that you can begin to work with. And don't forget about your themes. Thanks.